It's been a while since we've had one of these Cats and Rats community Q&A. I'm your host, Kirby Lupo, joined alongside my co-host, Nick Levine. Cody Stevens is away right now, but he will be back for the newest episode 69 of the Cats and Rats podcast episode. We're going to be recording that later tonight. So I know my co-hosts, Nick and Cody, are really looking forward to that one. I'm going to take some stuff on the chin for that. But we are here kind of with an Olympic recap here today, some Panthers talk, some news around the NHL. It's going to kind of be a hybrid show here. I know some of you are not going to see this till later. This was an emergency kind of live stream we had to get in because our guest here that we're going to introduce here in a second, Nick, can't be here this weekend for NHL After Dark.
Correct.
Here right now with us now.
Who is that guest?
Who else?
Full Press Hockey, Jim Biringer. What's up, Jim?
Here we go.
What's going on, fellas? How we doing today? How's everybody
This was an executive decision by Jim here to call this time. So yeah, we'll move some things around and here we are. We want to catch up with Jim because Nick, it's been a while. We haven't been on.
Yeah, we have not been able to really talk throughout much. Last time we talked to him, I think, was prior to the gold medal game.
Yeah, that was about it. Just emergency impromptu podcast here because I love joining this community, joining the Cats and Rats guys and everybody in South Florida and Florida all over, but and even north of the border to everybody. But I just wanted to join in, have a prior engagement I totally forgot about. Shout out Indie Wrestling and ISPW event on Saturday night, so that's where I'll be. But I just want to catch up with everybody, live Q&A, talk some hockey with the fellas. Also, guys, the community is being streamed not only at Cats and Rats, but at Full Press Hockey right now as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Awesome. So where do we want to start here, Jim? Obviously, USA making some history here, best on best, first ever gold medal, going all the way back to 1980 here. And as a Canadian, I like that there's new things to be talked about now. I was not born in 1980. I was born in 83. So I'm glad in my lifetime we can talk about this now being a true rival. And you have to go back to maybe 1996 World Cup, which, a lot of current day hockey fans don't remember. And that was a great tournament by the USA. What is your thoughts, feelings on all of this? Gold medal fallout. We've seen all the celebrations. Now we're seeing guys come back to their NHL teams. Wherever you want to take this, Jim, and chat, let us know as well. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so real quick, I want to start off by saying I'm happy the Team USA proved me wrong and made my heart happy and made me happy winning the gold medal at the Olympics. I think Team USA and USA Hockey's kind of been a stepbrother to Canada on the men's senior level anyway. I think we can all agree that the rivalry is definitely renewed and there's a rivalry on the world junior level, at the women's level, U18s, all that. But on the senior level, Canada has always gotten the better of Team USA when it matters. Like you said, Kirby, 96 was the last time Team USA beat Canada in a winner-take-all game, in a one game, because everybody, let's just remember, for those that weren't or forgot, because it's a forgotten team.
That was the best of three, by the way.
That was a best of three series, and USA was down 1-0 heading back to Montreal for both those games.
Yeah,
and
Philadelphia was game one, was it?
Yeah, Philadelphia was game one, and the next two games were at the Forum in Montreal, and they came in and won. And look, a lot of people don't know about that team. It's never talked about enough. It's really never talked about in the rivalry between these two teams. Yeah, we could talk about 1980 all we want, 1980 all we want. That's 46 years ago. Like, half these guys on this team weren't even born. And if they were, they don't remember it, but they weren't. And
none of them. I wasn't.
None of them. None of them were around.
Eric Stahl age level players.
Right. Like, we're not, we don't even, no one remembers it except for with the movie and the documentary and all this stuff. They got inspired by 96 and 2002. And it's really the culmination of the 2010 group, started with John Carlson, moving into the 2013 group. This is their group from 2013, 2017, 2019. That's the group that's won now at the Olympics. Like, that group of players of USA Hockey, of the National Development Program. So this is a big step, a major step for USA Hockey, because as I said Sunday, I tweeted it out. They did it all. And Kirby, you can disagree with me on this. The community can disagree with me. 2010 to me signified when Team USA and USA Hockey started to become that second powerhouse in hockey. You know, it was USA. It was always Canada won. We thought about Sweden, all those teams across. But I think 2010, when that run, especially in the junior level and the women's level, where it was, okay, win gold every other year, that's kind of when this started to pick up. And I said, I'll say it, they won everything except this, and they finally won this.
Yeah, and just to jump in, Nick, I think you got to give Sweden and Russia credit then, but that was the start of it, and I can see.
Well, I also think when you take a look at USA Hockey, you got the World Juniors, and think in 23 or 24, I forget which one off the top of my
24.
head. 24. Get the World Championships last year. You had the women.
They went back to back. USA Hockey went back to back first time at World Juniors in 24 and 25.
In 25. And then you take a look here. So, I mean, kind of the culmination, Kirby, you've referred to this as the golden era for the United States. This is the era they needed to take advantage of. And, you know, they kind of really got over the hump here. And, you know, kind of talking about it from a USA Hockey standpoint, that's obviously huge for the game. And, you know, there's a whole new generation of fans that kind of get to experience not just Team USA, but it's like, for me, I mean, like, I've never, like, it was kind of a weird feeling. It's like the team's won 2 Stanley Cups. Winning an Olympic gold is kind of a surreal feeling because that's not really something that anybody in this generation has really gotten to experience. I mean, Kirby, Ryan talks about 2010 and 2014, right? And 4 Nations last year. Obviously went a long time without international play, but it really is great for a new generation of fans to not only experience it, but to kind of get a taste of what it actually means and the significance of and importance of international hockey. I know there was that kind of conversation prior to it. You know, oh, why is this tournament in the middle of the season? Or they were kind of, you know, shitting on international play. What if players get hurt? I think this kind of gives some people a taste of, okay, like international play is what makes hockey, in my opinion, one of the best sports. And I think it's really interesting that I was talking to this with Kirby last night, Jim, how quickly certain players, the narratives on them change. I mean, his legacies change minute by minute, game by game. And, you know, for example, I didn't watch, was it Steve Yzerman? You know, he couldn't win, and then he won, and everybody thinks he's a winner, right?
Yeah.
Now this generation of fans just going to remember Connor Hellebuck as a winner. They're going to remember Jack Hughes for that golden goal. Kind of the narrative going into the tournament vastly changes coming out of it. And not only are careers and legacy changed, but you know, this tournament for some people, for some guys, are the difference between Hall of Fame and not Hall of Fame, or first ballot, second ballot, right? It really kind of is incredible to experience that culmination of everything. And, you know, I'll never forget where I was when I saw that goal. I mean, it was just incredible. Similar, reminiscent of Panthers winning the cup, that kind of initial jubilation. So it was really just incredible to experience because, I mean, again, it was just, especially with the 12-year wait and defeating that Canada team in particular, that Jim, everybody in the tournament, including us here, thought, you know, historical level team there.
Yeah, no, definitely a historical level team. I mean, the problem is that it became evident in the gold medal game, and even later in the tournament as the medal round went on, this became a 2-line team, maybe a 5-player team. Like, John Cooper's an excellent coach, but he kind of went Jim Hiller-esque and didn't use his depth enough. Now, whether guys are hurt or not, we'll get into that when we talk Panthers and all that stuff. To me, there was some mismanagement of players on the Canadian side, but it doesn't take away from what Team USA did. And again, Bill Guerin built this team to beat Canada. It was the same group that lost to Canada. And you think about it, Canada and USA, last 2 major international tournaments, where you want to count 4 Nations or not, they went to overtime. And if you go back to 2014, 1-goal game. You go back to 2010, 1-goal game. Like, so the last 4 international best, quote unquote, best on best international senior level games have all been 1-goal games. So that says something about the talent on each side of, you know, the border. And when it comes to USA and Canada, I think it's great for the sport. Again, I was thinking about when Nick was talking about this, Kirby knows about this and everybody north of the border knows about this. How many people, oh, I know, people in Boston grew up doing this, but Bruins fans did the Bobby Orr goal, the Henderson goal, Gretzky to Lemieux, like in those Canada Cups. Guys on the street at the rinks are all going to be trying to emulate Jack Hughes now, which is good for USA Hockey because they need to do it. The photos are iconic. He's going to be everywhere. The sponsorships, it's going to help grow the game. But I do agree with Gary and Bettman in this point is like how often does Olympic viewership carry over to the National Hockey League? It's great everybody's talking about it. Whether they know what they're talking about is another matter in and of itself. Everybody's talking about it. Let's keep the momentum rolling and let's get the people on there that are talking about it to know about it because there's a lot of other things you can dissect coming out of these Olympic Games outside of the fact that Team USA won. And there's a lot of, I'm not going to say poor narratives because that's, disheartening and it's not right. It's a negative aspect. I'll say this. The sports talk radio, whether it's north of the border, south of the border, has just become hot take fest and clicks on Twitter and all that stuff. So there's clips going around from guys talking about stuff sounding sore loserish. That's sports radio now. That's what it's become. It's not an actual discourse or a discussion about things. I did take offense to a certain person, saying USA Hockey hasn't really done anything since 1980. That's disgraceful to USA Hockey's growth, not only in the United States, but that tells me you don't watch anything outside of the Olympics and or the National Hockey League.
Or kind of best on best. I know I want to get into some of the narrative-based talk when it comes to individual players, Nick.
Yeah.
But since we have Jim here now, we're not going to have him here on Saturday. What does this do for the growth of the game in the United States? People are still going to say it's a niche sport, and I don't think they're wrong in saying that. I don't think they're hating in saying that.
No.
What is this going to do to elevate U.S. hockey? And we see it at the grassroots level. We see players coming out of Texas, Florida, Vegas. We already see this pipeline growing. What's this going to do, and what's that going to do to push back to this? This is a niche sport, and I think Americans have to take it on themselves to not make it a niche sport.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think like guys like hockey media, like myself, right, can't come off elitist, right? I can't come off elitist. If somebody's talking about it, even if I disagree with something that they're saying, it sounds like they don't know what they're talking about, I can't comment on it. I just got to let it go and just let them talk about it. Regardless if I agree or not, just let those clips happen, let those shows happen because that helps grow the game. Because a lot of people got on Skip Bayless, the entire hockey community did, because he loved that day at the Olympics with the 3-on-3, and he said the NHL should adopt it, and everybody just jumped on him. And I saw Don LaGreca, who I've talked to a bit, and I kind of agree with him. It's like, yeah, we want to grow the game, we want everybody talking about mainstream media, but then when they get something wrong, we just jump on them. So I think whether they have a right comment or wrong comment, we just leave it alone, and that's going to help it. But I think make the game accessible. Continue to feature Jack Hughes all the time. The photos, all the stuff that's coming out of the game. That's how you're going to get people involved. That's how you're going to get, I saw a ticket, I saw some initial numbers coming out of tonight's game between Buffalo and New Jersey that, there was an increase of 58% of tickets bought for this game because of what happened on Sunday. So, I mean, that alone is already something that we usually don't see coming out of the Olympics for USA Hockey or players that have played in the Olympics. But the fact that Jack Hughes on a local team, and that's the thing I'll correct people on, because there was somebody who's like, "Yo, he's a New York guy, New York Met." It's like, dude, he plays in New Jersey. Like, let's calm yourself here, bud. Like, but it's good to see, and I think more Americans have to pick up on the sport. And they have to be invested in it. And you have to be – I get it. You're not going to watch every regular season game because the NFL takes priority. College football takes priority up to a point. But I think once the Super Bowl is over, through this right up until the NFL draft, or even after, like there's a time period right now where the NHL can dominate because the combine talk, there's – not much going on in college football. NBA is kind of down. Baseball hasn't really started yet. Back in the day, once this was over, everybody just started going to all the other different sports. And I think this is now an opportunity for the National Hockey League to take advantage of a pretty empty sports calendar.
Yeah, I just want to jump in quick, Nick, and then you can come in here with your takes on it. I'm going to give it from both sides as a Canadian. The negative stuff from JD Bunkus, from Sid60. I don't think that really creates good growth and wanting to see a good representation between north of the border and south of the border. But then I also hear Jay Onrait, who was an ESPN headliner there for a long time, moved back up to Canada, works for TSN. I thought he brought up a good question to Dan Patrick. He was on the Dan Patrick show, and he's like, we know you guys next week aren't going to talk about the NHL trade deadline on your show. So it's like, where does the growth start and where does it end? And I want it, my wish, if it's not even a truthful wish, I want it not to become a seasonal game. I want it to become a year-long game. Hockey is year-long. Outside of August, it's a year-long sport. Where football, there is a lot of time off in between. I don't want fans just jumping on after the Super Bowl. But Nick, that's what my wish is. I don't know if that'll ever come true.
No, you have to be aware of the market in the United States. Football dominates. And everything from the spectacle to the outreach to, just take a look. Football dominates. I mean, even, for example, there's just so many different ways that it reaches out to fans, whether it be through fantasy football, NFL does these flag football programs and everything. I mean, really is. Now, I will say this, in Florida, and Jim, you growing up in New Jersey, and I don't know if you know this, Jim, and this is not a slight against South Florida fans. Typically, people don't think of, like, I'll say this, South Florida fan base is a diehard market. When you take a look at the Miami Dolphins, people don't look at the Dolphin fan base as a diehard fan base. I mean, they are a good fan base, but it's not like some of these other NFL teams. The Miami Marlins have kind of been the bottom of the barrel for over a decade. They are awful.
They are awful.
Marlin games.
No, the last time I went to a Marlin game was during a Stanley Cup final because the tickets were cheap.
Right, and the last time we went to Marlins Park was Winter Classic, right?
Right, and I'll say this, like, I think of South Florida and Miami, I think Hurricanes. Like, I think college football.
That's more what it is.
Well, there was a top 10 sports list that came out all time, and someone, I think it was Hard Rock, they had the Hurricanes team in 01 as the second most dominant team in professional all sports.
So I just quote tweeted that, by the way. I just quote tweeted that. And I'm gonna say this: the 1976-77 Montreal Canadiens want to have a word with this list.
They did have the Oilers
and then,
on there in 85.
If I could just say, take a look at the Miami Heat. Really, after the LeBron era, it hasn't been like, the jokes about Miami Heat games. Yeah. They arrive 25, 30 minutes late. I mean, you take a look at the start of Heat games, right? That's just the way the South Florida fan base and has been. It's not these die-hard fan base market for sports. You would think it is, but when you compare it to some other sports, Kirby, Jim, I know you agree with me here. It's just not that market. So from my personal experience, really hasn't been that way.
But what can change it if Stanley Cups can't change it? Can't a gold medal, or shouldn't
it? Should, because Matthew Tkachuk's the face of that franchise.
Like, I will tell you this. I've had people who talked to me about hockey during the Four Nations and during the Olympics that refused to watch or didn't watch regular season hockey before or after, and then sometimes they'll jump on during the playoffs, right?
Sometimes.
And I think that in itself is okay. That's a good reach. I don't think they've been able to really capitalize on that momentum. I haven't really seen any progressive growth outside of that to where these fans are coming back and watching it. Because I'm just going to be honest with you. You watch this gold medal game, you watch the Four Nations. Oh, okay. Let's turn on and I hate this. I'm not trying to shit talk your team, Jim. Oh, the New Jersey Devils and the Buffalo Sabres get ready to play tonight after watching the Olympic gold medal.
I think here's the thing. I think the issue was they didn't know if Jack Hughes was going to play tonight. Most likely he's playing, but they're honoring all the Olympians before the game. Yeah. That would have been nice to know 2 days ago. But they didn't know if he was going to play or not.
Well, I'll tell you what's going up with Jack Hughes, north and south of the border. His card collector status, that's going through the roof.
That's going through the roof. But I get Nick's point, because after the Rangers went, and John Sander brought this point up, but because the SI cover from 94, and I still have it, says why the NHL is hot and the NBA is not. Yeah. The NHL went into a lockout. They killed any momentum off the 94 Rangers winning the Stanley Cup. the Devils won it, helped grow hockey in my area. It really did. And the Devils became a sustainable franchise that really helped grow the game in New Jersey. Kirby, you made an excellent point. This has been my issue with the radio and the sports talk, and I understand the business from this. I wanted, and I would have loved to have heard the experts and the quote-unquote ESPN insiders that they have for their hockey coverage be on Get Up, be on the radio, be on First Take in the summer leading into the season when Connor McDavid had yet to sign his extension. You had a free agent class that had yet to have signed any extensions, and they didn't make – there was nada a peep. Nada. There was
even
zero.
The narrative of,
and that's a guy that could sell to the Cavs.
But here's the thing: that narrative of you lose to Florida, now you lose to Florida, you win the Four Nations, but you lose to Florida back-to-back years, and where does he want to go? Could he be going somewhere? Being unsaid, that alone, even though it might be a narrative and it might not be fully true, it does get headlines. It does get headlines, and I will say this: Sun Belt hockey has grown immensely. When Nashville got good, I did tournaments there when I was playing. Nashville's junior program is doing, the junior Predators are doing incredible. Junior Panthers from where
how about the AAA girls, right? They just won the Quebec PB Junior tournament.
You have the Florida Alliance, you have all these travel teams, you have the Junior Panthers, you have all these different high school programs that are really good. You in Tampa and in South Florida, in Orlando, they have some good programs. Go to Dallas. Jim, Dallas has really good programs there with all the different
Vegas is getting there, maybe.
Vegas is getting there.
California
has great hockey.
Has great hockey. So there is growth there in that Sun Belt and in the western part of the United States.
I'm talking media thing, and I think it's a great narrative because what do you hear all the time in the NFL or the NBA? Oh, Giannis is a perfect example. Oh, Giannis wants to leave. Where's he going to go?
Yep.
He's all this stuff.
Even if it's Toronto, they talk about that.
Right. Even if it's Toronto, they're going to talk about, he's going to Raptors. Yep. He's not going to Raptors, but we're just going to the Raptors.
Maybe he would have with
And Kirby, I like the point that you brought up. They're not going to be talking about the NHL trade deadline.
No, they won't. Because guess who's going to be on TSN? Emily Kaplan and Kevin Weeks.
And Biz is going to be on Sportsnet.
Right.
Guy's going to be on
They're not. And here's the other part. Ready? Mikko Rantanen and Mitch Marner, high-end forwards for their team, got moved from their career-long teams last year. You take a look at the Mikko Rantanen situation now would develop in Colorado, Carolina, and then eventually Dallas, the Mitch Marner situation in Toronto. Those are two superstar players.
Mm-hmm.
In any other sport, if those situations were to occur, which they don't happen often, and you could argue
with Dallas, except with the Cowboys.
Well, that's a different story.
I'm just trying to make we're having that conversation here.
That situation, if it were to occur for other sports, would dominate headwaves. And it just doesn't in the United States, number one, because the market's not there. But you kind of take a look at, you have star caliber players not only moving, but there's a lot of headlines surrounding it, and they're moving twice. Like you had a superstar in this league, Mikko Rantanen, be with the Colorado Avalanche. They made a franchise-changing move, you could almost assume, trading Mikko Rantanen to Carolina. Then Carolina, they can't sign him. They ship him off to Dallas.
But
how often
they
does that
brought
happen?
PK Subban on to First Take one time for the Cup final, and then that was it.
And they brought him in for Four Nations and all that stuff. That was it. Like they didn't do it well. And notice,
them back.
But notice, it's usually when I love Mike Greenberg. I've met him. I know it's usually when he's not on Get Up in the morning. Oh. Like he wasn't there Monday. They led with the USA gold medal game. PK Subban was there. SportsCenter had a lot on Sunday. SportsCenter had a lot on Monday as well. They had Emily Kaplan on. They had Steve Levy. They had Linda Cohen. Like there's a niche at ESPN that loves hockey. They just don't push it, but they could do the same narrative Nick is talking about with the players that they have. Artemi Panarin should have been a big story.
Adam Schefter tweeted it out, by the way.
Right, but I'm saying heading into that, before that trade, that should have been a dominant story. Any other sport, the star caliber of Artemi Panarin leaving a New York team would have dominated headlines. Like the Austin Matthews stuff about not winning. You only hear it in Toronto. You don't hear it down here. Connor Hellebuck not being able to get it done in the big moments. You don't hear it here.
Yeah. And you're running with the New York Jets. Like what NFL fan wants to really sit down and hear about that in like January?
Right. No.
And here's the thing. It's like, I know there are a lot of blockbuster moves that happen across other sports, but when you take a look at some of the players that have been moved in the NHL and the manner in which they've been done and the noise surrounding them, like you take a look at just the last 12 months, Artemi Panarin, Mikko Rantanen twice, and Mitch Marner.
Right.
And Brad Marchand's another one, which
Brad Marchand, that's a name.
That's a name, right?
That's a big name. Like
whether he's old or not, that's a name you sell easily.
Like you have superstars in, some are in bigger markets than others, but in big markets, there are narratives there. And look, I think
all you just go Brad Marchand doing the Conor McGregor. That's all you need to do.
I think also the hope of the NHL when they went to ESPN was that this would help grow the game further, and they're not maybe pushing it. I remember a couple of years ago there was that joke ESPN made about, talking about baseball, football, NBA, and they kind of just threw hockey to the side, right? Remember that joke? I think it was on First Take. So, and I think there was another joke last year during the playoffs, like, I won't be watching that, right?
Yeah.
So it's that part of it, and
that's got to change because the people that host these shows and the people that do it have to be more knowledgeable about the sport. Yes. And ESPN
to give respect to the sport,
right? You have all these analysts that work in the studio outside of PK Subban, Ryan, TJ Oshie's there, Ryan Callahan's there, Mark Messier's there. Like they have this talent pool that's there.
Hendrik Lundqvist, Wayne Gretzky.
Right. Well, yeah, they're on other, but they're on TNT. But
they're on American.
Right. But I'm saying in that company alone, they have people. But again, you're seeing it. I've said this when the WWE acquisition happened. I want to see, like, NHL should be worried. And I talked to a friend of mine at the Stadium Series about that, and I was like, I hope you didn't mind my, they're like, no, you just got to report what you got to report. And they've taken notice of it. WWE, every PLE they go into, it's like a week long of promotion with guys on talking about stuff. That's what you need to be doing with hockey coming out of this.
They're getting more airtime on Pat McAfee, WWE, and all this. Yeah,
right. This is where now coming off this event, you should be doing the same things you do with all the other sports.
And I think Pat McAfee, like, for example, does a really good job with it. I mean, with promoting in the NHL. I mean,
right. He does a great job with it.
So, I mean, I think there's a blueprint there. Obviously, if there's not a market for it, they're going to play to the ratings, right? Like,
but still, I mean,
but you got to make a change eventually.
But you got to make a change eventually to help grow the game. And there are narratives with all, like, the top free agents. Jack Eichel was there, Kirill Kaprizov, Connor McDavid. Like, Connor McDavid alone should be selling the sport.
If Jack Hughes can get on Good Morning America before the gold medal win, then why can't ESPN do certain things?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, there needs to be a look at some of these morning shows to promote the game better.
Yeah. No, good discourse. We didn't plan to have it quite this way. We went deep dive here with Jim, but that's why we.
This is where my brain goes when it, like, a subject like this comes up.
Yeah. When people want to ask questions, and here's the answers. Like,
right. Like, this is part of it. This is what I'm seeing. Like, every other narrative you have in every other sport about a top player you could have with the National Hockey League, and you don't do it.
Yeah. And they say, well, it doesn't sell. You have to make a point to where the change happens. And this is a seminal point right now, paramount point, with Team USA winning their first gold medal, best on best, first gold medal since 1980. Now the change has to happen. If it didn't happen before, you got no excuses now. Let's see it, and let's see it rolled out here from the executives on down. Because big money, all that. It's not just Olympics pack up and go away. Hey,
the game still exists after the Olympics. And, like, one of my big storylines would be coming in if I was running TV would be the Buffalo Sabres. There's this hottest team coming that we're going into the break. They have an unsigned player, and Alex Tuck might not be the sexiest name in the world. What are they going to do with him?
Yeah, like, and you might have to disguise that around a player that people know, like we mentioned, Brad Marchand,
right?
Connor Hellebuck, and him.
But you could tie that in. You could tie the Alex Tuck situation into Brad Marchand last year in Boston. It's a similar
It's about doing
situation.
your homework and research to ask Emily or to ask Kevin Weeks, and there you go. PK Subban, whatever.
Right, exactly. So that's my 2 cents on that matter.
Yep. Nick, anything else on that before we do segue and we can go to break here?
No. Do we want to just head up the ad break real quick?
And then we will come back with Panther stuff. We have some Q&A from our X platform and a question or two here in the chat.
So we're going to take a break and hear a word from our sponsor, Caneswear.
Panthers fever is here. Are you geared up? Caneswear in Davie is the place for all your Florida Panthers needs. They have the latest gear for our favorite NHL team. Jerseys, polos, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. Caneswear has you covered. Stop by their store in Davie or at pantherswear.com. Again, that's pantherswear, WEAR.com for all your Panthers gear.
And a word from another one of our sponsors, Jeremy Beckham at Beck Sells FLA. Champions don't settle, and neither should you. Let me introduce Jeremy Beckham at Beck Sells FLA, bringing a competitive edge to South Florida luxury real estate. If you want a home that performs in all 3 zones, location, lifestyle, and long-term value, Jeremy is your power play. The clock's ticking. Let's go for the cup. Reach out now at becksellsfla.com, and you do not have to be in South Florida alone. For Jeremy Beckham, if you're looking to move to the area from out of state, please give him a call at 772-475-5371.
Thank you there, Nick. And just some housekeeping items here. Make sure to subscribe to our channel here. We have been here all Olympics long. We will be back on the podcast side for episode 69, like I mentioned, to talk about the Team USA gold medal, the Olympic recap, and what's ahead for the Florida Panthers. Make sure to like this video and all of our videos. We hit all-time record highs, easily over 100K views on our Olympic stream coverage. We appreciate all of you on that. Even on our post-game shows, those are huge numbers as well. Make sure to comment on the videos, helps on our algorithms. Purchase a super chat donation whenever we are live. We appreciate that. We will be back live for Florida Panthers post-game shows throughout the weekend here. You can buy a membership, the gold, silver, and bronze. It will stay named the same as that out of these Olympics. You can upgrade your membership as well to gold or silver with some great perks there. And you can gift memberships. Shout out to RC and other members in our community for gifting many members outside of the community memberships during these Olympics here. And your membership's good for 1 month, and you can upgrade at any time. Nick, where do you want to take us here?
Well, I was thinking we could, first of all, great job, boys, on the Olympic recap. As the NHL season starts to resume here, a lot of teams' plans at the trade deadline will be dictated on the results this week. One of probably the most notable teams, the reigning and defending really Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers. Jim, what have you heard based off buying or selling? What are some avenues and contingencies they can go here?
Well, I think a lot of people saw what Bill Zito had to say yesterday after he got back from the Olympics. And, he said they have a lot of options on the table. They have multiple scenarios they've looked at. And as he said going into the break, and I said coming out of the break, and I've written in my articles on my Substack and stuff, this is a big week for a lot of teams, not just the Panthers, right? Like, I think the next couple games are going to determine what they're going to do next Friday, whether they're buyers or sellers. If they lose these games, first of all, they're getting some reinforcements back. Obviously, it looks like Kulikov and guys like that are coming back. And we'll get about the captain in a minute. But, to me, I think if they win these games, I think it's probably going to be a soft buy, I would imagine. But if they lose, I think they're going to go straight sell mode. And I'm not talking about goaltenders, but I'm talking about guys like AJ Greer, some bottom 6 guys that probably teams could use for a stretch run here. Get some assets for those guys, and they'll probably flip those assets for something else that they could use. Obviously, we know they have a top 10 protected pick next year, which I doubt they're going to draft and use. But again, you never know. They probably have another scenario out there with that. And I say to myself, okay, if I'm the Florida Panthers, what's the best case scenario for me right now? I think they got to let these games play out, and it all depends on who's going to be in the lineup and who's really hurt. Because if certain guys can't go, do you just say shut it down and we'll fight to live to another day for next season?
In reference to specifically the trades only, obviously we'll talk about the injuries, the players, maybe some of the even top 10 pick talk in a second here, but purely based off buying and selling, kind of walking through these contingencies, if they are to win, and I would say they need to win all 3 games in order to really do that soft buy. What types of players do you think Florida could be looking at if that were to occur? Is it the names like Jamie Alexiak, Ferraro, Connor Murphy, kind of those names we heard? Are you thinking a little bit less? We know that there could be a potential LTIR candidate, season-ending LTIR candidate, maybe. Could a forward be in play for them if they're able to win these 3 games?
Just before that, shout out to Matthew there. Thank you for the super chat.
Shout out, Matthew.
That is the name of our next podcast episode. It's like final push here for the 3-peat, and it has to take place here this week, Jim.
Yeah, no,
this is the playoffs.
This is playoffs for them. And look, I saw somebody, I forget who it was, so forgive me for not giving him credit, but I think we've all agreed on this. We've all said it here in this community. You don't allow this team to get hot. If they get hot, look out. And look, I'll say this. I think Alexiak's still in play. I think Connor Murphy, guys like that. Now, Mackenzie Weegar's name is starting to grab some traction around the league. I'm not just saying Florida, but he's around the league now. Not to say Calgary wants to trade him or he's looking to move, but teams have called about him. There's probably guys that, players have, they've called about, like certain teams have called about that we don't know about. Like, is it Shane Wright in play? Most likely. Again, the playoff cap, I think, is going to be a factor here, but I think Alexiak, Ferraro, Klingberg, guys like Liljegren, Connor Murphy, players like that could be available. Definitely at the deadline. I know Seattle wants to get in the playoffs, so I'm not sure how much, but I was always told that Alexiak, no matter what, was going because he wasn't staying. So does for a team like Seattle, for instance, say the Panthers were to look at him, does it Eeli Tolvanen interest anybody? Does it Jordan Eberle interest anybody, especially if you're in the mix, right? But they want to get in the playoffs.
Are they going to move their captain?
Now, here's another question, and this is kind of one of his. He actually makes a good point there. Is there a hockey trade that could potentially be made where Florida, they swap cap for maybe a Mackey and an Erod or Mackey and a Boakfus can go the other way and they're able to kind of fill different holes?
Like, are you looking? So where are you looking? Are you looking, say, for instance, like a Calgary, for instance? Are you looking at a Coleman there? Are you looking at a defenseman?
You could do a White Cloud.
Cloud, like is Zach White Cloud? Right. Is that somebody you're looking at? Or you go over to Vancouver, for instance, do you move out like a Garland? Is that something you want to bring in for an Erod and for a Mackey to make money move? But I know Florida really likes Erod and his versatility. Yeah. So, and that's an issue. Does that mean Verhaeghe's gone? Like a guy like that? So I think to me, guys like players like that, and I think there's going to be a hockey trade. And Bill Zito said it. There's always a surprise or two that we don't see coming. That they've called on players that like you do your due diligence throughout. Like for instance, back when San Jose traded Hurdle to Vegas, I bet you they were calling throughout the season, hey, is Hurdle available? Is Hurdle available? Like you do your work on that and you push.
That Jones thing took months. I think they
started that
in December.
Right. You push until the right offer comes available. Right. Like for me, I'll say this. And this probably can get into some of the Q&A stuff too eventually. But
we got some offline there too, Nick. And shout out to Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, very much.
Yep.
For instance, like a guy like Jesper Wallstedt, we know his name's out there, but do the Minnesota Wild want to trade him, and what type of package are you getting for him? And are you going to get it for it now?
And here's the thing. For what they need, which is a second line center, they might not need to move Wallstedt, and they can pivot. Like a lot of moves that don't end up happening at the deadline, they circle back to in the offseason.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of offseason traction, especially at the draft and into July 1st, because I really do, unless New Jersey gets blown out of the water for a package for Dougie Hamilton, I think teams want to wait till New Jersey pays that signing bonus and the real cash drops, and then they can, get him. But I think the Panthers, to me, I think they're looking at all their options when it comes to players.
And there is an NMC on Carter Verhaeghe.
But But again, if you like, for instance, Ryan McDonough in Tampa, I know people don't want to hear this, but after they went to the final that one time, they was like, dude, we can't keep you. Like, where you want to go? Like it's unfortunate. But again, no move clauses aren't the be all end all anything.
Well, yeah, and also the other point on the Wallstead front, Minnesota might keep him till the offseason, and then I know the theories. I've actually subscribed to some of them with the top 10 pick, trade, Mackey package. There's different options, contingencies based off circumstances. There's so many different moving parts that is going to be decided not just this week, but over the course of the season and how the rest of the things shake up. And on the sell standpoint, that the Florida Panthers are going to sell, you'd have to think AJ Greer. You'd have to think Mackie Samoskevich. I'd wonder if guys like maybe on the lower side, like a Luke Cunnin, Jeff Petrie, who wants to go cup hunt, are they on their way out? I know there's been some.
Boquist would probably go.
Boakfist. I don't know if Erod, because again, like you said, they value him. They didn't want to get rid of him at any point. The Barkov injury, one of the blessings of it, of which there are none but this one, is that you were able to keep Evan Rodriguez, a guy who they really value. Does that become an option for you? Obviously, I'm assuming if you're selling, Barkov's not coming back this season, right? So it's not really relevant.
And the Gavin McKenna thing, it's out there right now because a lot of different channels are running with it. I think Keaton Verhoff's in play. Other guys are in play. Albert Smith or whatever, the Latvian defenseman that Belinkus and Vilmanis have just commented on to Jameson all again. And I don't know if we're going to finish, if we're going to bottom out.
Well, that's actually a good pivot point is the top 10 pick. Obviously, I don't think we get a top 5 pick. I think there is a chance we can get a top 10 pick if we are going to sell because, Jim, we've talked about it. There's been a lot of speculation on is Brad Marchand done for the year? If he does play, what percentage is he? Reinhardt and Bennett are dealing with some injuries. The Barkov thing. Jim, I don't know about you, but I don't think Matthew Tkachuk is 100%.
I don't think he's 100% either.
So it's like you're going to be doing this it's going to be an uphill battle regardless. Combine that with the injuries is if certain things shake out this way, when does that top 10 pick come into play in terms of do you trade it? Do you move it? Do you keep it if you're able to get a high enough pick and bottom out to a certain extent or jump up in the draft, in a deep draft? Kind of that whole thing of we'll start with, do you think they get it? Or how do you think the week goes for Florida? Do you think there's a legit shot here?
Well, I don't think they're going to move the pick now because I think they got to see where they finish, right? Like if you finish out inside the top 10, that's a weapon you use at the draft. Mm-hmm. If you know you're not finishing, if you're finishing outside the top 10, it doesn't really matter at that point. The pick Chicago's and it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. You're in that murky middle and you're not
You're not in a good spot. And now you don't have. Now you got to look at roster.
Yeah.
To me, I think like if they're gonna sell, they're not making the playoffs, and guys are really hurt, and they're done. Like they're not playing. Mm-hmm. But as we've seen with the video, and again, you got to be careful with the videos and stuff because I said the same thing with Landis guy. He looks great. He's a long ways away. Barkov, on the other hand, I don't want to get people too optimistic, but when he's talking about soon. He's looked really good. This guy's progressing really nicely. I know, it's interesting to hear like people, it's an 8 to 10 month, this time. Guys, got to remember, Adrian Peterson tore his ACL in December of 2011, was back for game 1 in 2012. He recovered in 8 months.
I was also told, I was talking to some people over the last couple months, and there's always been this thought that with how he is progressing, and this is, I think, in December, so this is before he really ramped up his skating, he was doing light skating, that there was a thought, a potential that if they needed him to get into the playoffs at the end of the year, he would be able to do it. Yeah. I was kind of wondering your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I think that's definitely a possibility. I think if they're within 4 points of the trade deadline, and they add to their roster and they stay within that position with about a month left, I wouldn't be shocked to see Barkov back.
And you think that he is much further ahead in his timeline than maybe management and coaches are telling us, or do you think some of it is?
A lot of it's coy, a lot of it's chess game, a lot of it's, you know. I think he expects to be back soon. You listen to Bill Zito and Paul Maurice; they're following doctors' timelines, and I would be doing that too.
Mhm.
If anything, it would probably be like April-ish for him to be back. But I definitely think he's pushing himself to get back.
Yeah. And then we actually have two questions, or one question from our guy, Jamie. Two questions from our guy, Jamie. How soon will Barkov be in a jersey playing a game? We just said April-ish if he's going to do. If Barkov is back just after deadline, does this change Zito plan of trading Bob?
Well,
I don't think. Go ahead.
I don't think there was ever a plan to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that was ever a plan. Like, I think, like, when Zito talks about, like, options and scenarios and this and that, they've discussed it. They probably had conversations about it. They probably talked about it. What if if we're here, should we do this? I think more of the conversation has been, okay, we know Bob doesn't want to negotiate during the season. What is our plan coming out of this? If we keep him, what's the contract looking like? Unless we get a really good offer on our goaltender, we know he has a 16-team no trade clause. Does he want to move his family? He's really entrenched in the Florida market, in South Florida, in the community. I just don't. Unless they get an offer they can't refuse.
Do you sense that Florida, particularly, and I guess this just doesn't just pertain to Bobrovsky, it pertains to the whole goaltending situation there. Do you suspect that they want to keep Bobrovsky, or that they want a younger goalie project? Do you think that's a route they want to go? If they keep Bob, get a younger guy to pair with him, get a more established guy to replace Bob? I mean, what do you sense there?
My sense is that if they're going to go younger in the goaltending, they don't want a project. They want somebody that could come in and show that they can, an established younger guy that can come in and help this team continue to win. Like, let's not forget, this team is, a lot of this group is signed through 2031 with dreams of making deep playoff runs here. Yeah. Like, I think, and that's why I keep bringing up Volstad's names. Like, that's a guy that if there's a team that would do it, like, Florida would be the team to go get him, right?
And how many guys are like that? Is he the only one in that young, ready to win,
Well, you could go a little bit older.
Yeah, you could go a little bit older.
If you take a look here, this might be, he's above 30, I think. UC Saros would be a guy that you could who could come in and really kind of just.
That's just more cap and more age, though.
It's more cap, more age, but it is an established guy who's in his early 30s that kind of lines up with your window. Is that a risk you want to take?
I need retention there or something.
And what would Nashville be willing to do for that? I don't know.
True.
Here's the thing. Let's roll through that for a sec. Jim, what would Nashville be looking for in a UC Saros if they're looking to move him? Because with the new GM, things could be changing.
Well, again, what is the direction of the team moving forward? Do they believe they're a contender? If they believe they're a contender, then UC Saros is staying put.
Right.
If they want to get younger and do what they should have kept all the guys in the first place, then Saros is going to be gone. But the problem is Nashville's got to retain, and they would probably be looking. I mean, you would have to figure they'd probably want a goalie back, and if they don't get a goalie back, it's probably going to be like a Mackey or if he's not moved, or a player of value to make the cap work. Like, that's where that's probably where Erod would have to go to make the numbers work, right?
Panthers do have some goalies. They moved on from Brandon Bussey, but Gareth Semyak could be a goalie of the future in 2-3 years. They could take a flyer on Cooper Black. I don't think he's necessarily a starter, but he could be an NHL back.
I don't think the solution's in-house.
No,
but for Nashville to take one of those guys back in the deal, you need more in the deal.
It's hard to judge the goalie market.
Yeah. And they could go somewhere else. Nashville.
And they could do a Bob Wallstead thing, or they could just.
Or, I mean, could they? I mean, could they go get the guy that they drafted back from Buffalo?
Devin Levi. Oh, I mean,
Like I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, right. I mean,
it's like
again,
that's me like speculating. Like
Right.
I'm not.
And
There's no information on that.
Right. Yeah. Again, that kind of goes into the thing is they don't want a project.
They don't want a project. They want somebody that can come in, and that's why I think the conversation more revolves around. Okay, what is Bob's contract going to look like? Is it?
Because here's the thing. I think you can run a Bob Wallstead tandem next year
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
they don't make the playoffs.
Same.
Now, if you win these games this week and you try to go on a run, the Wallstead thing's out of the question. You probably just run it back with Bob next year, right?
Yeah.
There's no way you get Jesper Wallstead without getting a top 10 pick.
You have to get the top 10 pick for Minnesota.
So they need to make that decision. That's why, and again, I think Zito said there's some easy decisions that could happen or some really difficult ones. And unfortunately, it's not, you have to see where you end up. It's, you have to make a decision, stick with it, hope that decision goes your way, and then execute on the plan that you would set out to do, whether that's making the playoffs, whether that's prioritizing rest and youth in net and between the pipes. That would include
is like, to be honest, like is Tarasov the guy?
No.
Like
we don't feel like it. Me, Cody, and Nick.
Right. So like if they don't like I know they like him, but I think they're looking at options. Like that's why I always said, like everybody asked me, oh, like what could happen with the goaltending market? Like who could, like what top team in the playoff right now needs a goaltender?
Top team. Vegas.
Like what team in the
Vegas.
That's the only team that comes to mind that I think of that could make the move for Bob if he were to leave.
San Jose has been filtered on, but they're not a top team. But
why would he go all the way to the other
San
coast?
Jose could go on a run for 2-3 rounds. Call me
Right.
crazy, but if you have the right goalie in that.
Right, but again, I think it's more of like lining up with things. Like I get it. I understand why San Jose's thrown about, but
San Jose has all their draft picks, like I mentioned to you, Jim. I think next year or the year after, they have 3 picks or 4 in the second round.
Right,
So
but
they
again,
have a lot of stuff out there.
But again, it's a what if scenario because I do believe San Jose loves Askarov with that core.
But
if I'm not even saying Bob's moving because I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he's
Bob there.
I do not. I would be utterly shocked.
I would be shocked. I would be shocked if he was to be moved.
Yeah, I would too.
And I think it's either Bob Wallstead or if Bob. I think these are the 3 things. You don't make the playoffs and you get guys rest and you're able to get into a top 10 spot. You move the pick for Wallstead. Number 2 is you go on a run. Maybe you make the playoffs. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But Bob shows that he can be the starter next year, and you maybe get a bit of a better backup.
Yeah.
Or option 3, you say screw that, and you go get Saros. Kirby, you mentioned a couple weeks ago with Jordan Binnington.
I like Bob and Binnington together with retention, and Bob on a cheaper deal.
We could do that clearly.
Incentive laden.
There's different options. I'd have to think, knowing Bill Zito and historically what he's done, you'd have to think that you'd give Nashville a call if they do decide. And Jim, I suspect that Nashville is going to think that they need to reset a bit here.
And I just want to jump in. I get Jim mentioning Levi there, but I would put a guy like Stuart Skinner ahead of Levi as well.
No, I know.
Levi is so far down.
Devin Levi has not panned out, and
no,
and I don't think. Again, the development has been.
I think you need a veteran guy if you're not going Wallstead. Is my answer there.
Right, like and you look around the market, like goalie wise, there's not a lot.
Unless Joseph Wall becomes available.
Right.
The Hildebeest.
Or the Hildebeest. Hildebeest is actually a pretty good fit, right? Like,
yeah, that was like I would like a guy like Hildebeest or Levi if Bob was younger.
Right, exactly.
But I don't know on that front.
Right, exactly. So
and you have nothing maybe. If you
exactly. And I think
anything. No.
So with the Panthers, I think that they have a lot of options on the table when it comes to trade scenarios, right?
The different pathways, like
there's like 4 or 5 pathways here.
Yeah. It makes it interesting to see, especially over the next 7 to 10 days.
Like teams will know, like he says, by next Friday, teams will know, or next Thursday, whenever games are done. Most of these teams will know by the weekend.
By the weekend, yeah. They have to coming out of the break here and stuff, whether they're
And I do have to play a bit of hypothetical. I'll ask the question what you think, then I'll ask the question of what if. what do you think happens this week for the Florida Panthers? And if they are able to win these 3 games, do you think they make it? Because we were talking last night, Jim, and we're like, if they're able to win these 3 games, watch out. Because if they sneak in, it's not a team anybody wants to face, particularly with the guys coming back.
I think they can win 2 out of the 3 games this weekend.
Okay.
That's not out of the question because it kind of follows their pattern, which leaves them in like this scenario they're in now, which is like it's just a wait and see pattern.
And you'd really have to kick the can further down the road.
Exactly.
This week matters.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been surviving to fight another day.
Right, exactly. And that's what they've been doing since the injuries, right?
Right.
But I do think if Kulikov's definitely coming back for the game, like he's back practicing, and that's a huge boost to the lineup. Like they're getting some of the reinforcements back from injury. That makes that team a little bit more difficult to play against right now.
Yeah. So do you think they will win those 2 out of 3 games?
Yeah, I think so. I think they get 2 out of 3 this weekend.
And your prediction as of today is of the Florida Panthers
playoffs?
Yeah.
I say no. The pattern. I think Kirby. We've all talked about this, right, guys? The pattern, win-loss pattern is just. The consistency of going on a run has just not been there. And I know the goaltender gets a lot of slack, but the defense in front of him hasn't been better. Let's see if with the guys that are coming back, like maybe that helps his game a little bit here.
I know Bob feels good. Feels good.
So maybe if with the rest that he's had, the week of practice, he comes back, maybe he looks like a different player.
But again, you don't know until you see it.
I'd be surprised if they win 2 of 3, like Jim said, because of the consistency. But it wouldn't shock me either.
Like there was a stretch earlier in the year that I was like, oh, they'll probably lose these games, and then they went like a 4-game heater. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's the Panthers.
If they win 4 in a row, Jim, I mean, they're going to be like, because if you're able to get to the trade deadline with a run, because that doesn't need to be longer than a week right now. It's been shown. In the Eastern Conference, you win 4 or 5 games, you're back in it. Well, one good week and one bad week can change your season.
But like I said to Nick, you've got a lot of teams to jump here.
Right.
The Metro, not as much.
But you got a couple
4-point games off the bat, and if you win those games.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I just thought confident there as Jim, but hopefully.
One of the interesting points here.
But I don't know. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs because the goaltending just hasn't been where it needs to be.
Well, I just don't know their psyche coming out of the break either with the health card stuff that we're not going to hear till probably trade deadline week.
Right.
When Zito speaks next time.
Like, is Bennett 100% healthy? Is Reinhardt 100% healthy? Marchand doesn't seem like he's 100% healthy. Kachuk doesn't feel like he's 100% healthy.
All the John Cooper haters are like, he didn't play the guys. Well, maybe he didn't play them for a reason.
Right.
So,
you think Marchand plays this week, Jim?
The normal
50-50.
Yeah.
10-14 minute shift.
That's somebody nobody's asked about. I don't think anybody asked about him in the press conference yesterday, right?
No.
That was by design, you're saying that?
I don't know.
I have a feeling that he may be.
They got an email, no questions on Marchand?
I think for me, I think that's a player that I would be watching, see
closely.
His availability closely.
Yeah, the health availability.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else, Jim, here before we go? Thank you for being here on this impromptu live. I know people enjoy this on the replay.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, just follow along here. I mean, it's gonna be a busy week. I think there's a lot of things that could happen, right? I think there's a lot of interesting players in and available right now. Some sellers, maybe there'll be more sellers that we don't know about, that come about, right? Because again, this is a big week for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
So I think this next week's going to determine a lot.
Just before we do go here, another housekeeping item. Congrats to D'Lo on the USA jersey win. Shout out to our boy Jose Navy Knoll. If you are a member, make sure to link up with us. We'll have our members only streams coming back here shortly as well. We'll have you guys on as guests, members of the community. So again, shout out to Jose Navy Knoll for the contest and for D'Lo going 3 for 3 in the gold medal round with USA, Canada, and Finland.
We went 0 for 3.
What did we go for? 0 for 3?
Me and
Oh,
you.
for 3.
Yeah, we did. Cody will be mentioning that to us probably later on the pod. So, but as always, thank you, Jim, for your time today. And as always, on the way out, we're back to saying this, Nick. Get ready to hit the button.
Yep.
Let's go, Cats.
Side of you.